Naval Sports League. The NSL is the premier competitive league in Holdfast's Age of Sail. The NSL is the proving ground of greatness for Holdfast's most experienced and accomplished sailors, officers, and captains. Battles take place on various maps with unpredictable wind conditions, forcing teams to plan for the best but adapt to the worst as the whims of fortune demand. We are especially excited this season for the many new features Holdfast has given us in the new Age of Sail update, adding incredible mechanics like boarding and ship capture and captain commands. We have included almost every new feature Anvil Game Studios has given us in this new update, though even with all these new dimensions to the game, the path to victory in the NSL remains the same as ever. A team wins the match in the NSL by sinking or capturing all the opponent's largest ships, the heavy, powerful 17-gun brigs and the lighter, more maneuverable 8-gun schooners. These are what we call the capital ships of the NSL, and once they are all sunk or stolen, the battle immediately ends. Each team has 35 minutes to complete this mission, and if the timer concludes before either team can completely defeat the other, then the team which has the most capital ships remaining under their control wins the battle. If both teams have the same amount of capital ships, the tie is decided in favor of whoever has the highest overall point score. There are 8 teams competing this year, some returning, some newly formed. All of them have the same goal, to put together a record of victories in their battles to make it into the top 4 teams of the league. Only the top 4 teams will have a chance to compete for the Champions Prize, which is determined by a 2-week tournament among those top 4 teams, which will take place after the regular season ends. I want to thank you for joining us today, and I hope the league can inspire you to pick up Holdfast yourself, jump on a ship, and learn the art of sailing as we all have. Perhaps one day you too will compete in the Naval Sports League and burn bright in the fires of competition. The pre-game coverage will begin shortly. I wish all the teams the best of luck, and I'm confident they will put on a tremendous show of courage and bravery for you to enjoy. So stick around and see what happens here at the Naval Sports League.
Hello and welcome to this week's Naval Sporting League action. I am your host, Percival Plod, filling in for the wonderful Lemerck, as his teams of the mighty Leviathans are taking on the Marines in what I believe is going to be an action-packed match. Joining me today is my lovely co-host and fellow Vice Admiral of the Kraken team. We have Chewy of Troy. Come say hello, Chewy.
Hello there.
And we also have from the mighty what do we call them? Hydras. One of the heads of the Hydras, their Admiral Muffin Top Scout. How are you doing today, Muffin?
Pretty good. I'm glad to be here.
Very exciting stuff. So, folks, we're going to have a look at this lovely league table here, and it's looking quite nice at the top for our 2 teams here. Hydras at the top, 48,000 points, 2 wins. How are you feeling about that, Muffin? You feeling good about it?
Oh, it's a good place to be. You know, we still got to take on 2 teams to really showcase our dominance, but we're getting there.
And Chewy, I'm not going to answer for myself, so you can answer for us and the Krakens. How are we looking sitting in second there, 21,000 points? Not looking too healthy with the Marines on 43,000 there with 1 win.
Yes, but that Marine victory was also the biggest margin of victory in NSL history. So we'll see if they can follow that up today against the Leviathans.
Absolutely. So we are looking at a 3rd place and 4th place bash here, folks. We get to see who's going to pop up to the top and by what margin with the likes of the Marines and Leviathans. We're just going to go down the list. So we had Rumrats unfortunately fall to a 1-1 we have here. We had the Beavers fall last time, I believe, down to 2-0. Sea Otters are down 2-0, unfortunately, and so are the Rangers. The points difference are looking pretty difficult for the Beavers here, but not saying I don't think they can not be too worried about. I think they can come back to that throughout the season, but certainly I think Rumrats are the ones there to maybe the ones that might sneak up later in the season. But we'll see how that gets on. So if we can have a look at the player leaderboard now for our match today against Leviathans. Who are we looking at's going to be here? By the looks of it, from my eyes, we've got Daniel Franklin looking up there, nice and top. One of the elder statesmen of Naval nowadays. Average score 835 with a 3.3 kill death ratio. Then we have Leviathan's very own Brazen, not too far behind, by literally just under 3.6 points on average score behind, but with a much lower kill death ratio. Must be hitting a lot more cannons and hull points on those ships right there. We've got Omoset there from the Rumrats with an 810 with a 1.2 kill death ratio, so looking very strong there. Treehouse again from the Leviathans with 772 average score, a 1.88 kill death ratio, and Finney from the Hydras here with a 686.8 with a 1.88 kill death ratio here. So, by the looks of it, the Leviathans got more up there than the Marines. Do you think that's going to take into account anything we need to worry about here today, folks? Let's go to Muffin Top here. You're going to be the one looking at the Marines here today. What do you think? Are they going to have to be worried with the amount of the high leader scored positions we're looking at here from the Leviathans?
They really shouldn't, but it's always a factor. I mean, the Marines have always been a decent team. You know, they've definitely shown growth throughout the preseason, first season, and now this one to where they are making themselves to be a contender. So they shouldn't be thinking about points really, or overall like where their individual players are standing. They need to focus on sinking ships over, bringing down the Leviathan.
And if you were the Marines Admiral today, or staff, or anything like that, what is your main focus that you want to do to try and keelhaul these Leviathans and not get them the momentum that they want to get in this match?
I mean, the main thing is you gotta trip them up. The Leviathans are a solid team across the board. They're probably the best gunners in the game, and they understand the mechanics. Probably the most out of all the teams. So if two really, I think, beat the Leviathans, you have to either A, surprise them somehow, or kind of B, get in close, make them uncomfortable, and just try to break their line into smaller, more manageable groups.
And Chewie, you've got Leviathans here. You're looking pretty good in the player leaderboard. How do you think it's going to translate to the match today? How are they going to do against the Marines that have, as we saw when their last match, quite a high points difference against, unfortunately, the Sea Otters there?
I mean, compared to last season, the Marines already look miles better than last season. Last season, they opened their season up with their one and only win last season. This year, they're coming back with vengeance. So I'm happy to see the blood that the Marines want, but they're running in against a stone wall today. I feel like it's the Leviathans. In the past 4 years in competitive naval, they've lost one match, and that was in the regular season. They're the 4 past Naval Leagues champions. I mean, how can you bet against them? Lamerck leading the flagship. I mean, I'm trying to think how the Marines could beat the Leviathans today, and you can't do it in just a straight gunfight. You got to break Leviathans' fleet cohesion around, and that's the way I think the Marines could beat Leviathans. But I'm going to find that. But that's even then, that's a long shot. The Leviathans practiced both gunnery and chaos. So
Well,
I
thank you
don't
very
know,
much.
but we'll see.
So, if we look at the head-to-head, these teams at the seasonal record, they both have 1 win each. In the matchup, when they have played against each other, the Leviathans have always come out on top. The Admirals today are going to be Lemerck, our normal host, and Kieron's one of our very regular co-hosts today. The top players for the Leviathans have been Brazen, Treehouse, and Shadow. And for the Marines, we have Thy Caliban, Metro, and Sir Fishes. So very interesting to see how this turns out. If we can go and have a look at the map, we are playing on Charred Tides with wind from the east here, folks. If you have a look at this map, let's go over to Muffin Top here. The Marines, what do you think they're going to look at here? They've got the opportunity of that very central sort of reservation. They've got those little awkward islands at the top, and they've also got those sort of 3 sort of pill-shaped islands towards the I suppose here to the west. What are you thinking when you're looking at the Marines here? How are they going to take this fight?
Well, they can do traditional tactics of forming line and skirting around the outside of the pill-shaped island, so heading west with the idea of kind of trying to gain as much territory and wind as possible. But if they don't want to kind of fight that way, then honestly, the middle of the map, that middle pill and the small islands might be a good areas to navigate to try and break up the Leviathan's fleet cohesion.
Okie dokie. And I guess the same question for you, Chewie. If you are Lemerk, if you are the Leviathans, how is it that you make sure that you stay a beast and put these Marines back in the water where they belong?
I mean, I'm betting the Leviathans will move out and sail on the inside of their large pill island that we see here on the bottom left here, and then swing with the wind once they start seeing the Marines do so. I think they're going to start forming their line early and start hammering the first point of weakness that they see of the Marines. But if they go on the
Okay.
outside, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Now,
But
I have
everyone will be going west.
I have a very interesting question for both of you here. We've talked a lot about the big boats this season. We haven't heard much about the little boats. What do you think each team's doctrine is going to be regards these small little boats? Let's go back to Chewie for this one on Leviathans. What do you think we're going to see from Leviathan's gunboats today? They don't get enough love, but I think they've also been quite interesting this season on what they've brought to the tides.
I have not faced Leviathan's gunboats this year, but they know how to use their gunboats quite well. This year, I feel like they're more of a supporting, keeping the mass down role, or ramming and boarding, or dropping troops off to board. Those are the two main ways I see gunboats being used right now. Because just that one cannon's kind of weak, though I do like that it can now aim itself a little bit. But yeah, I think the Leviathans are going to use that to help keep mass down, to pin Marine ships down, and just leave them for the larger ships to kill type deal.
Okie dokie, folks. Well, today you can see on the pirate side, if you look at the pirate flags, they're going to be looking there in the lovely, whatever is not the yellow hull color here, folks. That is going to be your Leviathan team. I'm assuming if we go in nice and close, that is going to be a black hull. Absolutely. The pirates have taken over that side of the map. And over on the yellow side with the British hulls, that is going to be your Marine side. Let's go back to Muffin. We heard a little bit about what we think we're going to see from the small boats from the Leviathans. What do you think we're going to see from the Marines today? What do you think those used in their last match from their little small boats?
I mean, I think everyone's still kind of messing around with them because I do agree with Chewie. They can become kind of annoyances, like kind of maybe little snipers trying to hit captains or hit masts and stuff, try to pin down little ships like that, like the 8 guns or anything. But we have to see because you don't boarding actions can be a little risky because you have to send other crew from the other ships onto them to kind of stack them up. And with the ship capturing ability now kind of there, you run the risk of losing your gunboats to boarding actions because you get swarmed. One good swivel shot, boom, your whole crew's dead. They can hop on and capture it. So
Well, something I'm going to bring to the conversation here is that the admiral for the Marines is taken a leaf out of my book here and has gone ahead and taken the control of the corvette. And when I've played it, and I know they've talked about it before when we've had sort of conversations when Kieran has asked me when I've played, is that I've used it very much like a scout style ship. I'm very interested to see how that's going to take and play here today compared to what War Crime is going to be using it for. But I'm just going to have a look over here at the Marines ship. We've got Atticus and Lemerck on the flagship here. We've got Safe, one of their other sort of admirals here on the one of their 8 guns with Ronald and Treehouse. Treehouse obviously being the rear guard of the Leviathan's line. War Crime just over here could cause chaos with that corvette. What do you think the Marines are going to have to do to try and disrupt what I would say is a very veteran lineup from the Leviathans here today so far?
well, I think one of the easiest things that can happen is you get a lucky cannon shot and snipe a captain. Once they once ships stop moving or not moving in the right direction, that could open up opportunities for engagements. So
And while we're on the topic here, the setup here from the Marines pretty unusual. What would you say to that, there, Muffin?
well, looking because they're still kind of forming up, they're heading kind of westerly, maybe northwesterly. Um, it could be some sort of interesting double line formation. I don't know. It seems like even they're deciding what they want to do based on what Lemerc's fleet's doing.
And Chewie, go on, give us that. What are we doing? What are we seeing from Lemerc and the Leviathans here?
I'm not surprised what I'm seeing from Lemerc. He is going straight for the throat here. He's sailing dead center across the map, no turning, and I think he wants to get in and prove that yeah, we may be the best long range team, but we're also possibly the best close range team. I think he wants to go in and close this match in quickly and make a statement this match. It looks like.
Now, the interesting thing that I am seeing so far is that we are not seeing the same reciprocation here from the Marines. They are sort of heading that direction, but they haven't looked like they're going to go straight in, though. And it does look like, as always, Leviathans have got their structure in place. These 8 guns are going forward, and they are going to take whatever the brunt is coming through here. And then Leviathans can turn with these 17 guns in whatever measure to then turn and take the fight. If we're looking at this, folks, we've got a long way to go here. But by the looks of it, I think we're going to come in for one of those. I think we're going to have a medium range battle. I don't think we're going to have the entire long range that we were expecting. And it looks like here, as I say that, we're seeing the slow down, cool down from the 8 guns here, as everyone's getting in closer range. Chewie, let's have talk me through here from your perspective as Leviathans here. What are you waiting to see from the Marines to make your play? Because currently, right now, they're angling to go against the wind here.
So I think the Leviathans are waiting for their 17s to close in a little bit more before they swing around the east end of that island, and then I think they're just going to do like a death spiral here. No, wait, they're turning the
No,
opposite way.
they're turning in to get the wind here, folks, because the wind is
They're
heading
forming
east.
up their line now.
The line's
They're
here
already
already,
firing.
and the Marines are not ready for that yet. The 17s are not in place from the Leviathans as of right now, but they will be. And let's go to Muffin here. What do you take of the angle of the Marines? Who do you think is actually coming out better here?
I think Leviathans will have the better angle. It depends. The Marines, they do need to be aggressive. So this little island they're coming up on, they don't, when they pass it, they shouldn't go due east. They do need to head like due northeast, try to force the Leviathans to go around their equivalent small island. They're gonna get hurt. Don't get me wrong, they're gonna get hurt, but I do think they need to get in close. Because right now I think Leviathans have the better fleet positioning. Like all their ships seem to be firing while the Marines not so much. And in terms like this, you have to get aggressive. You have to force the Leviathans to break up their line.
And the initial volleys coming in here on the Sultan, led by Colour Sergeant Spleen, seems to be taking an absolute beating here. It's got some mercenaries on the ship. We got Floyd from the VOC. We got Redditor on Reddit from the VOC here. And from the 44th Corporal Beardy, First Star M over here, looking like it's going to be an absolutely good ship. I hope not to lose it, because that's a strong ship to have here. And looks like, by the same measure, Atticus is leading the charge alongside Safe for the Leviathans here. I guess from my perspective, folks, I'm sort of getting the same thing here. Leviathan's got every ship able to shoot their guns right now. 2 ships on the Marine side have already taken a little bit of damage. Now, I'm not saying that Leviathans haven't taken damage, but it's not half as bad, and it's being spread out of multiple things. How important is it? I'll let you guys both weigh in on this. How important is it to have that sort of immediate focus fire on one target as quickly as possible here?
Oh, it's everything.
I'll let Muffin go first.
Yeah, it is everything in these fights. I mean, sure, all these ships have supplies. They can repair damage and stuff like that. So they can take a little bit of damage,
Hold that a
Right.
second. We just had a demast here on the front Leviathan 8 gun. This could cause a little bit of a sticky wicket, no doubt. But there's still damage coming through from these Leviathans here, coming back into the Sultan on Spleen. Sorry, you may carry on. They've got it repaired now.
No, that's the thing. Because we can repair now, these can turn into long, drawn-out fights. Or, like what we did with the Beavers last week. We sting a little bit, we pull away, we come back again, but we're trying to wear them down long term. So Sultan here is in a bad spot. I don't think he either needs to kind of fight it out here, not really run away, but he looks like he's running away.
I mean, we're coming close to map border here. This is a pretty sticky wicket here if they're going to try and stay and hold. And I do think that Sultan, if they don't get repairs off, that Leviathan's fleet is going to commit to it.
I'm kind of confused on what the Sultan's doing there with it, just doing a 180 spin on point just to switch sides on cannons. You can repair cannons now. This isn't the old NSL.
By the looks of it, it just gets out of the range of the 17 guns. They're not going to focus too much on it, but all the 8 guns here for the Marines are in a bit of trouble. And the 17 guns right now from these Marine ships aren't firing back. And the only thing here I'd say from the Leviathans is Atticus's Invictus Leviathan does not look like it can get many shots off. If any, it's going to be maybe slightly obstructed. They've got a bit of distance, perhaps. It looks like the Sovereign of Sin from the Mercury is still firing on full guns blazing, and that is the lovely ship here from the Razorfish from the Marines taking some damage. But these 17 guns from the Marines are not getting in there. They're confusing each other. They don't know how to fight right now.
Yeah, it looks like a traffic jam. It looks like let's maneuver away a little bit, but I mean, I don't know what the plan might be, because like the Leviathans have the health to where they could wall ride and get behind the enemy fleet if needed. They have the HP to waste, to give up.
And that looks like exactly what they're going to do here.
I think that's was the plans of the first RM. Try to lure them the Leviathans into a choke point, because there's, depending on what camera you're using right now, an invisible wall the Leviathans are riding right now, and if they want to get in behind the first RM, they have to wall ride. That means crossing T's.
The Marines 8s need to cut in front. No, look, they're pulling away. The Marines 8s need to cut in front of the Leviathans right now. They need to get to the wall.
They should have swung in potentially behind their 8s here, because otherwise these 8s are just going to get in. And they're doing it now. They're coming in and becoming the screeners for these Leviathan 17 guns, and it's just going to make any shots that are going to try and get those hits not land. But we do see here Chiron's is coming in with his lovely little sneaky corvette here, and we do know those ships can be just as frightening if they are not getting used properly. And by the looks of it, I can't quite see where the Leviathan's corvette is. Has anyone got that in view?
It's tucked in behind that rear 17.
Yes, it is. I wonder if the Marines can even see it, because I didn't see it myself there. I wonder if they know that it's there, and if they do, are they going to notice that that's going to be there to outflank and deal with the ship if Atticus's Invictus Leviathan does not get there first? Health from these 17 guns from the Marines is holding. They must be having very strong repairs there. And in return, Atticus has got a little bit of damage on his ship. Safe's taking a bit of damage on Nemo's Resurrection. Runald and Treehouse not taken much, and certainly Lemerc hasn't been touched yet. Warcrime is coming in with the Death Grip, which is the corvette.
I think the Marines are making a mistake here. They're spreading out their line. They're not concentrated, and sure, the corvette is hitting that rear 17, but look, Lemerc's fleet is moving, and that's a powerful thing to be. If you're stationary, it takes time to maneuver. His fleet, like Lemerc's fleet, is kind of all moving slowly, so I do think they're going to try to focus down the enemy 8s and then come in on these 17s.
The Marines ship west here from Lieutenant Kyber seems to be taking I wouldn't say quite a bit of damage. It seems to be like little trades here, but it does seem that Atticus is taking the worst off here. In fact, in terms of the health of these ships, the 17s, he's taking the most damage out of them all. That does mean Lemerc has not been touched at all, but I don't think Lemerc is even trying right now, because they've focused a little bit over here on the Chiron, over here on the Corvette. Come on, Chewie, what are you taking from this battle right now? we've got the Marines taking a decent fight. I don't think that the 8 guns here are going to do well for the Marines, but the 17s are in prime position, I think, right now.
The Marine 17s are impressing me with their gunnery accuracy compared to their 13 gun accuracy last year. They're winning the duel of 17s versus 17s, but that's not the whole match. There's also 8 guns, and they're losing the 8 gun match right now. Not by much, but I mean, actually, kind of more than a little bit they are right now. And the Corvettes on either side are ineffective at this point with getting hits. So I think the Marines made a mistake. They held their 17s there for too long, not moving, and now they're a few hundred meters behind their 8 guns. They need to regroup, because right now, if they regroup, they can maybe get in a better position to fight the X. But X right now, I'm loving their position.
Yeah.
Corvettes on either side are just like trying to. The X is using theirs to kind of counter the Marines if they ever commit. Their 17s, okay, yes, like I said, it's slightly leaning towards first RM right now. Sorry, the Marines. And then the 8s is leaning towards the X. So yeah, this is actually a very interesting position. I did not expect this. But now we lose the front bowsprit of the, which ship is that? That is the West. The
Yes.
MRA.
Oh, but there goes the
MAR
Sultan.
West.
As Sultan is now gone, the 8 gun, the
Ooh.
first one that took a lot of damage there, has just been taken out by the 8s. That was good focusing fire with the gunboats as well that we were talking about earlier. It does seem both sides have been using double gunboats, but only one seems to have actually used them in I'm not going to say an effective way. I think that's the wrong way, but they definitely had more impact. They've got theirs up with the 8 guns, causing a little bit of trouble, while the 17s are moving in. Now, it looks like, and I've seen it here, they are getting the bowsprit fixed on the west here, but they must be out of supplies because it is taking forever to get that bowsprit back up, which means they are not in range and they are not in angle to get the damage here onto what I'm assuming is going to be... Yeah, Merc has stayed back. Atticus has pressed forward. He's got half health, but those 8 guns are not going to do anything to him, especially when he's got 3 fully, I wouldn't say healed, but, ready to go 8 guns to fight back. It's like taking kid from a candy right there.
Yeah.
Wrong way around. But that's not exactly what you're going to want there. And then you've got the Merc, who has not taken a scratch, who is just going to face off against what looks to be Lord Jenkins' Marine Salmon and West, those flagships there. And he's going to probably hold them off with the likes of Warcrime in the back with the Death Grip, who might just look to turn in here. And it does look like it at the end. He's going to start turning in because Kieran's with the Isabella is not there right now.
Yeah, I have to wonder if that's affecting his team's gameplay, because he's kind of out of the fight right now. Chiron is with their Corvette. His fleet is suffering.
And he's the admiral on the Corvette. I know sometimes when we've played as the Krakens when I've been the admiral on the Corvette. You either have to be in the middle of the battle and conducting it like an orchestra from there, or you need to be on one of these flagships when you can do it from there. If you're not in the sky, which I know obviously Muffin, you and I have both done before, if you're not in the sky either leading, you have to be in a ship that's going to be in the central command authority, and having himself here on the side might not be, might be in a bit of sticky pickle here for the team.
Especially since the Leviathans, they could just full on charge.
It looks like
they're circling the wagons nearly, in a sense, and yeah, they're basically setting themselves up to be hit from every angle.
Chewie, Leviathan's positioning here. Talk to me about it.
Well, the Leviathan Atticus ship just its rowboat finally got 3 of the 5 repair material that was dropped. Yeah, supplies that was dropped from the 8 gun that sunk of the first Marines. I was wondering who was going to win that. The first 2 did go to the Marines. They were the first to try to respond to that, but their rowboat got sunk. But right now, I mean, it's not looking good for the Marines. The Marines, their ships are pointing in 1, 2, 3 different directions, not counting their boats. While X has all their ships pointing in one direction, and even though the 17s of X are, sorry, I keep saying X, I should say Leviathans. The Leviathan 17s are right now about to go out of range. I mean, they can get back up if they slow roll their 8 guns. And
yeah, well, the Marines need to hit the enemy, the Leviathan 8s right now with everything they got.
This is the only chance they have, because if you're down a ship, you're down cannons, and if you're down cannons, you're down damage per second, and that all matters. So right now, they need to sink these 8 guns that are separated from Leviathan 17s and go in and get some points.
I'm
And
going
it
to
looks
leave
like
you
the
to...
corvettes and the gunboats are going at it. They're having a whole separate engagement.
I was about to bring us to that. It looks like
Yeah.
it's pretty even Stevens between these corvettes here. I think the Leviathan's death grip has hit a few more cannon shots that have taken out crew. Which, as you know, in the NSL, folks, that is a 30-second respawn timer. You don't get back up for 30 seconds, meaning every crew member that's not there firing is going to be a problem. Now, obviously, the gunboats here from Leviathans are trying to stop what looks to be a very pisky pirate hunter killer boat here, trying to deal with the war grime and the death grip over here, because Tyrons is fighting for his life over here. It looks like it. They've spread out the battle again, and it looks like back over here, coming back to the main battle, the Marines have slightly stabilized, but there is still quite a bit of a difference here between which
So we have some news here. I believe the Leviathan Corvette is out of repairs.
Oh, dear.
Wait, now I see one finally repairing, but they were not repairing. No, they're out of wood. He's just repairing the mast because
Oh,
he can still
no.
repair masts without wood. So this is, I think both Corvettes are out of wood, and it's going to be coming down to who gets that. There it is.
It's still up.
God,
It's still
so
up.
close.
It's still up. It's so tight. It's so tight. There's a smidge.
They're both
extra
going to
help.
be sunk from this.
There's,
I
there,
think
there's a,
First
yes.
RM's going to sink the Death Grip, and then the gunboats of
They missed.
Leviathans are going to sink the Isabella.
They missed the shot.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
They missed the shot.
Oh!
They missed it. Oh my days!
So
They
close,
missed the
so
skin of their
close.
teeth.
One shot away from sinking the Death Grip. You know what? Even though the Corvettes
play.
don't count towards ship kills for tiebreakers and whatnot, the points of that matters, and also the bragging rights. And that was a very good showing from first star the Marines.
And
they
just
came
as
down
that's
to just one little thing
Oh,
there.
we need to get back
Oh,
to
I
the
gotta
main
go back to
fight.
the other side.
gun.
17
Yeah.
has gone
Also
down.
put a
Marine
gun here.
17 has gone down.
That is Kyber's ship there. Lieutenant Kyber has lost his ship there. That was some good focus fire. As we saw, folks, you saw the 8-gun trio here from Leviathans head up towards the rocks and then circle back to rejoin their 17s there. And as they did so, they brought all of that concentrating fire by stretching the Marines' line here. As you can see, one of the 17s for the Marines, they weren't together. One was at the very front of the fleet, the rest of the fleet was interspersed in between, and then the low 17 gun was at the back, fighting against both Atticus and the Merc, and then the rest of the 8 guns here. All while we got quite distracted by the Corvette over there. How does this play into the match here now? Both of you. How are you feeling with this?
Well, the Salmon's going to go down in probably the next 2 minutes because the whole Leviathan fleet can focus it down, and he's
I give it 10. I give it 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not even that.
Here
It's
comes some
gone.
good volleys.
It's gone.
There.
All right. Well, I think this match is kind of decided now. So if they get wiped, I don't know, but I'm not even seeing them being able to get a single Leviathan kill here. So what do you want to talk about in statements for the Leviathans? The Leviathans had the second biggest NSL win ever in their first round. To the Marines' biggest point differential win.
The Corvettes have gone ahead and they've repaired, and it's gone up to full health over here. Just while we're on that subject, it's taken all of the materials that were back here, and it's hoovering them up. Not that it needs it, but I think it's just War Crime and the Death Script over there, making sure that the carcass of their enemies is being used to rejuvenate itself. But if you look at the
it's not going to get in the fight.
Yeah. Brazen, who was on that Corvette, got 1,500 score alone from that, 6 kills. Chris, I'm not sure where Chris is currently right now. I'll have a look in a minute where he's been. But that's 15 kills so far. Lemerc on his flagship, 1,885 on the score here. Atticus with 1,400. It's been a pretty large gap here in regards to just collecting score. So we could be expecting quite a big win here. So we're not going to say that it's over yet, because there is still opportunities for them to make do with stuff. As we do know, there was a rule change very recently, which was discussed between all the admirals, where each ship does get some extra Marines and stuff like that. So if they can't respawn on something like a flagship, the other ships can then use the Marines and something like that. So we might see the Marines have to try something along the lines of getting up and close and personal with the Leviathans here. And the gunboats are still up, so they might be able to make some desperate plays here, just to try and reclaim some score here. But by the looks of it, the Leviathans are about half health on each ship that I can see. So it's not like they came out unscathed. They haven't died. They haven't lost anything right now. They haven't lost a gunboat or anything at all like that. But they have at least had some paint scratched off their hulls.
The ultimatum is out of repairs. No one's hammering on the ultimatum right now.
Oh,
And also,
no.
back to your Chris statement, I did find out what ship he was on. He is on a gunboat with those 15 kills.
I was talking about that earlier. That was going to be something I was going to look at. It must have been when they were also helping out with the fight over there, because we had the two
Yeah.
gunboats over with a corvette, just trying to deal with the gunboat that was helping the ship led by Kieran's over there to try and deal with the damage that was
And the
currently going on.
Razorfish is out of material as well.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I was
So-
hoping that
The game,
Marines
though.
could kill
It
one
is the end of
Leviathan
the
ship
game.
today, but yeah.
It looks like they're running. They should be getting in there. You know, they should be looking to take on a ship. And if they are going to take on the Death Grip, fair play. Take on the Death Grip, take on the gunboats. Just get away from the rest of Leviathan's fleet here. So, folks, we've got obviously... it looks like here that they've just lost the mast down on the Razorfish. They're trying to get it back up, but if they've got no repairs, it's going to take some time. I think we're going to say farewell and adieu to the Razorfish here. But
Yeah.
Huey and Muffin, where did this... If we look at this in the grand scheme of the match, obviously there's usually moments that lead to how this match sort of, culminates. Where do you think is the first point? We'll start with you on this one here, Muffin. Where is the first point for you that this match started to culminate into the story that we're seeing now, with obviously Leviathans not taking even fairly scratched on these ships and Marines losing quite a few numbers of theirs right now?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's the Marines took far too much time setting up their initial formation at spawn at live. They allowed the Leviathans to gain territory, to gain more map dominance, get more closer to the center of the map, and then when they turned the fight, Leviathans had the better angle. So, and they didn't press the Leviathans too to try to use those islands. I'm fairly aggressive with my 8 guns when I give the order, so I kind of expect them to get point blank to collide with the enemy ships, because most of the rest of the league haven't really embraced the boarding mechanic yet for everyone. I haven't really seen it as what we tried for our first match. So I do think we have to see more aggression on the 8s. Get in close, especially since the 8 guns cannons are weak. Get in close. And I think the Marines, they just tried to play this traditional. Engage at
Huey,
range.
For you, what's the next moment from here for the Marines right now? How do they get from here? Looks like they have one hit left on the Marines ship before it goes down.
Well,
make it quick.
I did like that the Marines were forming up somewhat early. They were able to get better guns at a certain point, but they got spread out too much. They should have stayed together more. And yes, we're about to see the last glorious charge of the ultimatum, it looks like, because it's going to go down as soon as it comes around that island. But yeah, I was impressed at points today with the Marines and their performance, and against a solid Leviathans team, and I'm excited to see what they'll do, because this is definitely a tough match, defending champions and all. Leviathans, that it's always hard to go up against Leviathans.
Okay, so what would you say is going to be the takeaways? If we're looking at this from, obviously we have our own perspectives. The ultimatum is now down, which means, folks, that it's the end of the game. That is a total fleet victory here, in terms of all capital ships have been sunk by Leviathans on the Marines. A very well played game, and that is a 44,000 odd point score.
34.
Sorry, 34? Something like that?
34.
50,000 to 16,000, something like that. So a very large victory there for the Leviathans. So we should very shortly have our admirals be joining us. Hopefully we'll have both Kieran's and we'll have Lemerck. But while we're at it, folks, what's the highlight, I think, of that game? Let's hear for you, Chewie. What was the highlight for you from watching that game back?
the coordination of fleet of Leviathans was on point. I loved their formations most of the match, and especially their setup. We've seen it before where they'll sail abreast and then all of a sudden turn and form, and they did the double line abreast formation when sailing right at the enemy with their 8s all in front and then their second row is 17s. I should have recognized that immediately. That's what they were going to do. Leviathans are really one of the teams that do that more than anyone else, and that's always fun to see that executed so perfectly like they do.
Let's go back to you here, Muffin Top. What do you think? What's the takeaway from you from this match?
Well, get in close and bully them. Try to board the Leviathans, force their gunners to defend themselves, and allow other ships to do the gunnery and get in close. Because honestly, in a straight up cannon duel, 1-on-1 or even 2-on-1 situations, they that's where they dominate. You have to try something different with them. Use those islands. You have to force the Leviathans to collide into those islands. Have them waste time and trying to get off the islands, things like that. Traditional line tactics might work eventually, but honestly, get in close and punish them.
Well, before we head over to anybody else, I'm just going to quickly bring up here that the next match that currently the Leviathans will be facing will be against the Krakens. So Chewy, I hope you've been taking notes here because we got some paperwork and homework to do on that one. And by the looks of it, the Hydras also have the Marines. So Muffin, I do hope that you've had a good look here at what you might want to be looking at, and hopefully the Marines have taken looks at some of what you've been doing. We should hopefully have some 2 extra exciting barn burner matches coming up soon on the NSL here. I'll just have a quick look to see if we have got our admirals come through here. Looking pretty good. Oh, we don't have anyone just yet. So we're just going to fill the airspace here by going ahead and saying, I think my favourite thing from this match is that we managed to have the Corvettes have a very fun duel. They had a really fun duel over there on the side, and I think it distracted us quite a bit because we didn't even see Kyber's ship go down over there, the west, for the Marines flagship, I think. But I'm very interested to see what everyone's going to take here. I think if I was going to look at what I'm going to take away from this battle is how the communication was managed between the 2 teams, because obviously Leviathans they split apart but came back together very quickly. It's kind of like a slinky. You know how it goes? Like you drop a slinky, part of it will go one way and then the other half will catch up, and then it'll keep going and keep going. And it kind of felt like that was Leviathan's strategy all along, just slowly drag the Marines around the map. And while they do, just keep pelting them with cannon fire. Whereas the Marines felt like they wanted to just sort of like disperse very quickly and then come back together when they could. And then they didn't necessarily get the chance. It felt like two halves of the team were pulling in different directions, and eventually the center just crumbled. And that's where we saw the West go down. I don't know if that's necessarily a fair assessment from what you guys saw there.
No, I think I would agree with that. It definitely felt like a little bit disjointed from the Marine side, not really able to counter the kind of small groups, but then combined group as they came in. So we'll have to see what they think.
Well, it does look like we have both of our admirals here. So let's start off with the victorious admiral himself, Lemerck. How do you feel after that stunning victory?
I feel, of course, really good. And if I can indulge myself here to just dedicate this specific victory to 2 of our crew members who fought and are fighting harder than anybody else right now, Surfer and Pizza. These are 2 crewmen that are close to our heart for personal reasons that I won't, say on the air or live on air, but they know that we're there with them, and this victory is dedicated to them. To answer your question, it was a great battle, as I was saying in the green room, and obviously we're very happy with the results.
Fantastic. So we generally have a little time to get 3 questions out of you, Lemerck. I'm going to keep mine towards the end. So let's start off with my wonderful co-host, Chewy. What question have you got for our victorious admiral today?
What impressed you the most about the Marines today? If because they did put on some good tactics here and there today.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just telling them in the green room. I thought that their fleet coordination was really nice. Their formations were really nice. They were really good at like their 8 guns. I thought did a really good job of just kind of staying coherent and together. And their 17 guns did a really great job of staying together. There was a part where they put some real pressure on us towards I'd say like the end of the beginning of that like
Mm.
engagement, right before that first turn. They did a really good job putting some pressure on us there. All in all, I think this is really, it shows that the Marines are getting like kind of like formally, organizationally very strong. And I was very impressed with that.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's go to you, Muffin. What's your question for the Victorious Admiral today?
Well, overall, did you constantly kind of give intended orders for fleet orders, or did you kind of have a secondary commander for? Because you were nearly in two groups, kind of, in distance wise. So, was it just a, hey, go do this, or more of a, hey, 8 gun person, you can give orders until I can like get back into the fight.
No, I give almost all of the orders. But some of the orders are things like, hey, pressure the front, or 8 guns dart ahead and pressure. Like when there's 8 guns, just kind of separate from the 17 guns there. When they put the pressure on the front of the enemy there, that was by my order. When they pulled out, that was by my order. So most of it was micromanaged by me as we're going through. The nice thing is, I basically I have all of my commanders in a conversation with me, and I kind of mute in game. I don't really hear what my deck is doing, but my deck officer handles that, and so I have that calm to be able to talk to these guys and look around the battlefield, knowing that my cannon battery is handled by somebody. I don't have to micromanage that. Instead, I micromanage the fleet.
Right. So
Fantastic.
DDoS Discord when it's time to fight. Got it.
That's right. That would really screw us pretty bad. But I am very confident that my captains could, without my guidance, do just fine.
Fantastic. My question, Lemurk, is it's a very simple one actually. Did you have fun?
I had a great time. I had a great time. I mean, come on, this is the NSL. This is the best
Fantastic.
part of my month is when I get to fight another great team in Naval and sweat, and hope and yearn for victory like this. Like it can't get any better than that. So I did have fun. Thank you for asking.
Do you have any other shout outs you would like to give right now before we start to have a word with our wonderful
Well,
commiserative
I'll
Admiral?
reiterate that Surfer and Pizza are both at the forefront of this entire fleet's thoughts in this time. But I have to say that the deck officers, the guys who commanded the ship batteries, were just so good today. Specifically, each one of them. If I tried to name them all, I'd probably forget one and feel horrible about it. So I'm not going to do that. Just kidding. I'm going to go with Supple on my ship, Flash on the other one, Bootstrap, Daisy, George, Carter. I think I got them all. Those
You didn't
guys.
count gunboats though.
Oh, okay. Well, gunboats don't have a deck officer quite exactly, but
He doesn't
I'll
care
shout
about you
out
guys.
Gunner and Chris Kuhn, who were kind of like the deck officers on that. Those were like the second in command of those. But it really, their ability to master a crew, get them firing on target, it's just a wonderful thing to hear, and it makes me very proud. Thanks for asking.
Fantastic. So congratulations, Leviathans, on a stunning win. That puts you on 2-0, and I think probably top of the leaderboard. God damn it! Ah, painful, but we go again. And let's go on to have a word with Kieran's. How are you feeling? Well done. What a great battle. Talk to us. How do you feel it
Yeah,
went?
it was a great battle, and I can only put the tactics side of things and the fleet cohesion down to our flagship captain Jenkins, who had the idea of taking part of the fleet and trying to cut them off. So I'll let Jenkins have a say on that if there's any questions regarding
I
that.
didn't see him sneak in. I'm sorry, Jenkins.
Hello.
Welcome. Come join us. Come talk to us.
Talk to you, right? Well, I think the opening was very good from us. I think the whole plan was to get firing quickly. We had a new sort of formation we were practicing, and I thought the Lemurk one looked very familiar at the beginning there. I think we had very similar formations. No, the whole plan, which sort of fell apart very early on. Well, not early on. I think the initial engagement was very much towards us somewhat. we were trying to herd them into the corner of the map, essentially the top
Which you
corner
did.
of the map, which we did almost do. But luckily for them, they got that front 8 gun smoked off, and they broke out. And to be quite honest, I was panicking at that point.
Oh
But
no.
panic's part of the fun, isn't it? It's an emotional game. It's it having a naval fight in public lobbies is one thing. You do not get the adrenaline as you do in NSL, I don't think.
No, I completely agree. And I will say, Chewie, you're forbidden to say anything on our comms.
I have no idea what you're
on that
talking
front.
about.
Yes, regards to. So yeah, well done. And honestly, from what we saw, the initial part of the plan worked really well. And I'd say as soon as they broke out, it's kind of wherever they went a little bit pear-shaped potentially. That could be said. So I'll go with my first question here, and it's going to mimic one that you guys very much did to me when you guys had today. What when we had a discussion when we last played, Kieran's, which is you as the admiral were on the Corvette today. You're not just copying me, are you? No, it's not the question. The question also is, were you trying to sort of find out the sort of exploratory element that we discussed prior on the NSL here, or were you just wanting to go up against war crime and make sure that you tried to got that sort of piece of the puzzle off the board? You should give it a very
Well, I didn't know what war crime was captaining. Otherwise, I probably would have not captained the Corvette. But yeah, I think it was more. I was very intrigued when you chose to captain the Corvette and be the admiral. And to be honest, I found it hard to be the admiral and play as the Corvette. So Jenkins, for the most part, he was the admiral for that match, and he did a fantastic job. We, especially against the Leviathans, I think that. Maybe against any other team, maybe against the Krakens, things might have gone a different way. But yeah.
Well, you've got the Hydras to go to before you come to us. But let's actually go to the Hydras right now. What's your question, Muffin? And are you excited for your match? Because your next match is against these guys, I believe.
It is. I believe in July is when we will
Very
have
exciting.
a fun meetup. But yeah, my question for either Jenkins or Chirons is at any time, or especially when the 8 guns started to kind of head towards the Leviathan spawn and string out their line. Did you ever really think to try to dive at point blank range onto those 17s? Because when I was on Overwatch, I was looking like you had a perfect opportunity to kind of cause some havoc in their line. So was boarding, or at least overall, was boarding a consideration for you?
Not particularly. I mean, we're aggressive, but we know what the Leviathans are like, and they're melee players. I'm sorry, first RM viewers listening, but they're much better at the stabby object. I've said it now. I'm going to be in big trouble when we get back. But no, the thing is, with turning right, I know what point of the match you're talking about. If we turned right, we would have then been against the world border. We would have had to do snake maneuvers to try and chase them up into that corner. We were literally just trying to keep them against that world border. And as I said, when they broke out the front, that's sort of when it all sort of fell apart for me, I believe. I'm going to have to rewatch the stream. But no, that's my comment on that.
Wonderful. Chewie, finish us off with a question, will you?
So how do you feel the Marines have improved this year compared to last year? Because you had the biggest victory in NSL history in your last match, and then today I was really hoping you'd come out and bloody the nose of Leviathans today. But even though you didn't sink any of their flagships, you showed a lot of improvement. What do you think is the biggest improvement you've had this year so far?
I answer Jenkins.
Yeah, you start.
It's the crew more than anything else. The captains are great, but the crew are much better in terms of last year. As some people know, we've changed a lot of the crew, the captains generally in the first round quite a lot, and having the crew we've got now, I think we can bring the fight to Leviathans in another match. I just think that it's all about perseverance and really focusing on the tactics that we use. But yeah, a great match overall.
Wow.
Fantastic. I do have one question just for the Mercury. It's like a thing. You guys are obviously we only have one match against each other's teams now. So, what is it that these guys need to do to be able to come back and face you again in this?
You're asking what
season?
the
What the Marines have to do to come back
with
and
the
face
Marines.
you? Yeah. What's their
What's their-
objective now to come back and try and bloody your nose again?
Okay, so I would suggest, you know, I think that every team has a niche, right? Like a thing that they have to find the thing that they do better than anybody else. And that's going to be, I think, a path of discovery that they're going to have maybe throughout this season and maybe even the next season. Like, who knows how, when you discover that thing that you do better than anybody else. And once you do it, it's then crafting strategies to lure your opponents into situations where you get to do it a lot. I guess that's, I mean, it's pretty generic advice, but the question is what are you the best at? Or what is it that when you do it, you find, you find yourself overcoming the enemy's attempts to try and stop it, for example. Like a lot of people think that, for us, it's artillery. So it's finding situations in which artillery solves our problem. And so,
I was
that would
more
be my
looking
suggestion.
potentially more like they need to like finish fourth so they can fight first or something like that.
Oh, you're
But
not talking
you know
about
what?
like
I take that. I take
advice,
that.
because to bloody
You're
our nose, I
better.
thought you were
You're
talking
better.
about
You're
in
some
battle.
wisdom here.
What do they need to do in the
To be able
league?
to fight you again because they fought you and they only get to fight
Oh,
once. So
well, they
if
gotta beat
if
a
they've
bunch
got
of
the
teams
objective
is what
to go
they've
back
got to
to you,
do.
exactly.
They gotta beat a bunch of teams. They gotta
Starting with the Hydras.
listen, that first
We'll
victory,
see.
I
We'll
think,
see.
really showed the path for them. That I think the Marines are at their best when they are at their most daring, right? And so
Chaos.
that would be my suggestion for the Marines, to do that against every team that you can. Find ways to do that, to get close, to get messy, and then to reform in the midst of that, in the middle of that, and then hit the enemy when they're all out of formation.
Brilliant. Well, that's some insight there on what we might see in the future from the Marines. So that is week 8 of the NSL season so far. I do hope you all enjoyed. I'm going to quickly go and do some shout outs because we've got them all here. I'm not going to say everyone's name. I'm going to try and do the best we can. But obviously, this league is run by a load of volunteers, and it would be remiss if we didn't shout out those people. So, very quickly, I'm just going to go down the list because they're all here. Thanks to Chewy and Muffin for joining me on the co host today. Thank you, Rockwell, Clark, Billy, Amit, and Gandhi and Mika for coming along and helping us out with the camera work. Thank you to Gunnar and Killam and all of the ex-Admiralty, Atticus, and all that lot for helping to put on the show. Thank you to Prof, our camera person and director of all operations. Thank you to Merk and obviously to Kieran's today for a fantastic battle for us to watch. And we all hope that you come back next. Is it next week, Lemerk? Do we have a match? Is it next week?
I think it is. Let me look up
I'm
real
having
quick.
I'm having a little quick look
I'm
as
gonna
well.
look.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
We
Yes,
have
it is. We have the
who have we
Rum Rats
got?
versus the Sea Otters, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely fantastic.
That's gonna be a
match.
cool battle.
So I hope
Mm,
you're all
that map
here.
choice though, that's an interesting name.
No, I don't
Oh,
know. I've never heard of it.
I don't think
I've
we've
never
seen
heard of
this
it.
map yet before, but I don't know if you've all
No,
heard.
no.
There has been a new map to the NSL this season and to the game
Oh.
in general. It is Port Lemerck, and it's its
Oh.
debut today, or not today, next week with the Rum Rats on Sea Otters. So come back the 7th of June to watch that absolutely amazing battle. I've been your host, Percival Plod, and that is it for week 8 of the NSL. Bye-bye.